Well, good evening, everyone of the world of YouTube. EB, the original master here, and I am very, very happy this evening is because it is finally 8 p.m. and I just finally sat down with Nickelodeon on the TV, clearly, and I saw the new episode, Sportz and Spin the Bottle. And now it is time for the review. But before I begin, this will contain spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, it's not my fault because you guys chose not to see the episode and you guys choose to click on this video to hear the spoilers. So if you haven't seen Sportz or Spin the Bottle, I think it's going to be airing again on the other sister network of Nickelodeon, like Nickelodeon East, I guess. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Today I'm here to give you guys the review. These episodes were pretty, they're actually pretty okay, but that will be told when I review the episode. So let's start off with Spin the Bottle. So Spin the Bottle was the first segment of this new episode. So the beginning of the episode, it starts at the Chum Bucket, right? So instead of doing the traditional SpongeBob theme song because they were doing Kids' Choice Awards commercials and whatnot, so they didn't get a chance to show the SpongeBob theme song, which isn't anything special. So the beginning of Spin the Bottle, we get Karen doing some spring cleaning in her house, or the Chum Bucket. I mean, I don't know why I said her house. I mean, I said it started in the Chum Bucket, so I should have said the Chum Bucket. But the Chum Bucket is clearly the house of Karen and Plankton. So Karen was doing some spring cleaning or just cleaning around the house until she spotted a bottle. And inside the bottle was Plankton disguised as a genie. So basically, we already start off the episode with the main... So we already got starting out for the action. So Plankton comes out of the bottle, and then he tells Karen his next scheme that he's going to be a genie. So he was going to go to the Krusty Krab or Mr. Krabs' house so he could use this bottle so he could wish him the secret formula. And yes, I told you guys the plot synopsis of my Spin the Bottle discussion video that I done, but then I expanded it a little bit further talking about it in this episode. So then let's cut to the case. SpongeBob happens to find the bottle that Plankton was in, and then he decides to take it to his house. So Plankton finds that SpongeBob got the bottle. So he basically took it and he goes home with it. He drags it against this wooden fence. Plankton's inside the bottle getting knocked out all over the place. And so SpongeBob comes home and him and Gary plays with the bottle. And then he reads a message saying that there's a genie inside the bottle. He rubs the bottle turns hot, Plankton comes out, burning up, and then he says Alakazam, his old genie phrases and whatnot. So since Plankton is a magical genie, he commands SpongeBob to go to the Krusty Krab so he can get the formula, but SpongeBob said, since you're my genie, you might as well give me 3 wishes. So basically, the first wish, they go to Squidward's house for him to see the bottle himself. So Squidward comes out of his house screaming at SpongeBob, and then SpongeBob shows Squidward the magic bottle. So Squidward takes the magic bottle, then he wishes himself a golden clarinet. So instead of actually wishing one, Plankton just took out a yellow paint bucket and painted Squidward's clarinet yellow. Really, Nickelodeon, there you go again with the very, very predictable plots and whatnot. But I'm going to let that slide because I'm not going to let that bother me that much. Squidward then finds his little golden clarinet, which is basically painted yellow by Plankton. He plays on it, and then Squidward plays on his little golden clarinet and whatnot. And then Plankton is stuck inside the clarinet, pushing on the valves as Squidward plays on the clarinet. So the next person that SpongeBob showed the magic bottle to is Patrick. So yes, Patrick, he's very, very dumb, retarded. And then he wished that he want his hand drawn so he can have a second best friend when SpongeBob isn't around to play with him. Really, Patrick, you're seriously telling me that you have to draw a hand or a face on your hand just because the fact that SpongeBob is not going to be around with you to play with you? Like, seriously, Patrick, you could play by yourself. So then Plankton comes out of the bottle and then he draws a face on Patrick's hand. Patrick goes out of his rock and starts punching his own hand. I don't know why he did that. And then last but not least, SpongeBob takes Plankton's magical bottle to the Krusty Krab, where Mr. Krabs wishes for 1,000 monies, or $1,000 basically. So Plankton goes to the bank, withdraws 1,000 money out of the bank, and gives it to Mr. Krabs. And then so towards the rest of this episode, SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, Patrick, and Squidward has to play a game of spin the bottle to see who gets the bottle next. So they were fighting for it. And then there's like this really hilarious scene where SpongeBob discusses the rules of spin the bottle, and Patrick's like, and then we kiss. I mean, that had me laughing really hard. That was actually pretty funny. And so they played spin the bottle. First they landed on Squidward, and then Squidward takes the bottle, and then it finally lands on Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs then takes the bottle inside the kitchen. Plankton reveals himself, tells Mr. Krabs the whole scheme, and that's when the real genie came. So the ending of the episode, the real genie traps Mr. Krabs, Plankton, Squidward, and Patrick in the bottle, where SpongeBob finds them inside the bottle, and he thinks that it was a expired ketchup bottle and throws the bottle in the trash can, ending Spin the Bottle. To be honest, you guys, this episode had a really unique concept, but I think the pacing was a little bit slow. I think this whole episode was just SpongeBob and the others interacting with Plankton as the genie, and there was really nothing that much crazy going on, but that's how this entire episode was. It was very slow paced. Not that much good things were happening. The concept was great, but the pacing was a little bit on the slow side. So I'm gonna give Spin the Bottle a 7 out of 10 because it was not a bad episode, but I wish the pacing could have been a little bit faster, and I wish it wasn't just SpongeBob interacting with the bottle that much. I mean, the whole episode was kind of them just talking about the bottle and wishing things. Nothing major big happened. I wish Plankton went inside of a tent or something. They could have used like a magical tent or a, I don't know, like a fortune teller tent or something for Plankton to be as the magical genie. They could have used that, but they chose not to for this episode. So my final rating for Spin the Bottle is a 7 out of 10. So now let's review its sister episode, Sportz. So the title card for Sportz is pretty boring. It just shows grass with the word sports. Really? I mean, it's alright. I mean, I wish they could have done better with the title card for Sportz, but I'm not going to let that bother me. So the episode begins with SpongeBob struggling to push his trash can outside. SpongeBob, you are weak. You don't know how to eat vegetables, so you make an excuse by having a hard time pushing your trash can out of your house. So, SpongeBob pushes his trash can out of his house until he finds a cardboard box. Patrick comes along, and then they wonder what's. You know what, let me rephrase that because I'm already stuttering and I'm already losing track with my words. So, SpongeBob and Patrick finds a cardboard box, or a package. It was basically a package. And then it appears that the package is for Sandy, and then inside the package was a whole bunch of sporting equipment. So you're telling me Sandy spending all of her gosh darn money just for sporting equipment? How much money did she pay for those sporting equipment? There were bowling balls in there. There was a tennis ball, basketball, hockey sticks. I'm like, gosh, I got all of them sporting equipments inside that one cardboard box with all the money that you afforded with. Seriously, why did she buy them? I mean, there was no explanation of why Sandy bought the sporting equipment. So that's an L right there, because we just randomly got a cardboard box with Sandy's name on it just for the excuse for her to buy sporting equipment. Why did she bought them? Did she wanted to buy them so she could do sports with SpongeBob and Patrick, or did she bought it for I don't know, for like a sports team or something? I don't know why she bought it, but there was no explanation of why she bought it. So SpongeBob and Patrick are very confused about what's inside the box. They find the sporting equipment. They didn't know what they were, so they started using it as random everyday things. So they used the hockey stick. No, it wasn't a hockey stick. It was a golf club. I'm sorry, it was a golf club. So they went to SpongeBob's library in his house. So SpongeBob knocks his books off the shelf with the golf club. Patrick then uses the bowling ball as a drink holder, and then SpongeBob uses a baseball mitt as like a sleeping bed for Gary. So SpongeBob and Patrick are having fun with the sporting equipment where they didn't know what they were at first. And then Squidward is inside of his house cooking until a tennis ball came right through his window. He comes outside, screams at SpongeBob and Patrick, and then it appears that the guardian that Squidward had from the episode Memory Pants made a return, and Whirly Brains. So Squidward's guardian from Whirly Brains and Memory Pants made a return appearance. So Squidward gets flabbergasted, or no, he wasn't flabbergasted. He was shocked and angry that SpongeBob and Patrick didn't know what sporting equipment were. I mean, seriously, are they really seriously telling me? How come SpongeBob and Patrick don't know what sports are, but Squidward and Sandy does? That don't make no sense. it doesn't. The reason why it doesn't make any sense because Squidward lives in Bikini Bottom with SpongeBob and Patrick, so it kind of does make sense if SpongeBob and Patrick already knew what sporting equipment were and what sports were in general. So Squidward tells SpongeBob and Patrick that sports is a game that people compete in, and then he comes up with these. So he comes up with these crazy games that SpongeBob and Patrick can hurt themselves in. So the first game that they played was horseshoes. So they were playing horseshoes blindfolded. They were throwing the horseshoes at each other. This was a pretty graphic episode. They had some graphic moments where it showed SpongeBob and Patrick's swollen ankles, their bruised faces, very, very graphic. But it wasn't gross out graphic where it had like blood and everything. But it was pretty graphic for a cartoon. So yeah, they were playing Deadly Horseshoes. Their next game was they were doing a race in ice skates. They were running a race in ice skates with these traffic cones. SpongeBob and Patrick injured themselves as well. And then the last game that they played was kickboxing. So like they were like on this board. There's like on a wooden plank board, and the plank board collapsed and they fell and they hurted themselves. So Squidward then held a sporting competition, where Sandy was involved in it. So Sandy comes in with a magnifying glass. She finds her sporting equipment box missing. She finds SpongeBob and Patrick doing kickboxing, injuring themselves, and then Sandy realized that Squidward was the cause of this. So Squidward then competes in Sandy in these sports, and this is where the highlight of the episode came in to be. So we got all of these contestants watching the sporting competition against Squidward and Sandy. We got these sharks. We got these fish characters. So the first game that they played was basketball. So Sandy beat Squidward in basketball, and Sandy said, "Tell it to your mama, Squidward." If you guys didn't see that clip that I uploaded, that was the highlight of the episode. And then Squidward said, "Mama." And then Squidward's mom was like, "I don't want to hear it." So Squidward's mom made a cameo appearance. So the next sport that they played was they did soccer. So Sandy had like on a soccer jersey. I mean, she came in prepared. She had the basketball jersey, she had the soccer jersey, and she had the football equipment. Bro, Sandy, I mean, it could have been better if she had a football helmet, but seriously, why couldn't they design her a football helmet? See, they took so many L's in this episode. You made Sandy who had her little fishbowl, but not an actual football helmet. Really? That just really disappoints me right there to see them having a football segment without a football helmet. I mean, really, why not have a football helmet? So then they did billiards. Sandy beat Squidward in billiards. So basically, Sandy won all of the sports and taught Squidward a lesson about them playing sports to play sports the safe way. So basically, what Sandy did was the opposite that Squidward did to SpongeBob and Patrick. So when Squidward taught SpongeBob and Patrick how to play the sports, it ended up hurting themselves. So when Sandy competed Squidward in the sports, Squidward ended up getting hurted because Sandy was proving Squidward that sports isn't all about injuring themselves. It's all about competition and how to play fair. So Sandy demands that everybody wins. They all do a group hug, and then Squidward gets very, very aggravated because Squidward hates to be hugged. I mean, seriously, why does Sandy likes to hug people so much? I mean, is she like a lean, mean hugging machine? I mean, gosh. And by the way, Sandy's tail is a lethal weapon. Her tail can like grow into like arms and like swipe people and stuff. Man, Sandy, your tail is beyond a lethal weapon. Okay, my final rating for Sportz. This episode was pretty great. I wish there was a backup of why Sandy bought the sporting equipment, but it was really funny to see SpongeBob and Patrick injuring themselves. The episode was pretty great. The "Tell It to Your Mama" Squidward gag was pretty funny. Probably one of the best quotes in the modern episodes of SpongeBob. I give Sportz a 9 out of 10 because of the creative story and the highlights of this episode. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Spin the Bottle and Sportz from SpongeBob SquarePants for the Kids' Choice Sports 2017. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the remastering of The Robbery of SpongeBob SquarePants, the Roblox series, the very first episode, which will be out tomorrow. And I guess I'll see you guys later. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to EB the Sponge Clipper, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at EB the Original 1. Thanks for watching. Sayonara.